In 1900, an estimated 200,000 lions and 100,000 tigers freely roamed the planet. Today, a mere century later, only around 15,000 lions and 3,200 tigers remain in the wild, hunted to near extinction by human greed. Wildlife trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry, ranked fourth in the world behind drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. But the exotic animal trade is not a problem limited to far-off continents like Africa or Asia. It's right here at home, in our own backyards. There are more tigers in human backyards than there are in the wild. At least 10,000 tigers are kept in captivity as pets. Abused, neglected, and exploited, exotic pets suffer an unnatural and inhumane existence. More desperately than ever, what these animals need is a voice. Lions, Tigers, and Bears is an award-winning exotic animal sanctuary dedicated to the rescue and peaceful retirement of wild animals who have been abused or neglected from the atrocities associated with the exotic animal trade.
The exotic animal trade is a huge problem, mostly because people don't know how bad the problem is. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry right up there with drugs and weapons and human trafficking. And the animals are used for nothing more than profit, bred to be discarded. And once they're too old to be pet or used to have your picture taken with or used for the movie, they go out the back door. It's a huge problem.
Profits from the exotic animal trade are estimated to be between $5 and $20 billion a year. National Geographic estimates that 55,000 wild animals were smuggled into the United States between 2005 and 2014 to be bought, sold, and traded for profit. They are exploited for use in roadside zoos, traveling circuses, photo opportunities, or purely for breeding or trophy hunting purposes.
These animals are just bred and bred and bred. They pull the babies before the eyes are open, and then they're off to do photo ops or to be a pet, and the animal's bred right back.
We were on a cruise to Mexican Riviera, and they had a poor little cub that was just being passed around. I said we need to walk away because it was very sad.
Animals in the exotic pet trade are treated like a commodity, subjected to physical abuse, neglect, isolation, and exploitation.
They don't want to walk, pop him in the ass and make him walk.
This continuous mistreatment often causes physical distress, to say nothing of the lasting psychological trauma of a life of cramped habitats and physical assault.
Most of the animals are in terrible condition. A lot of them have evidence of malnutrition, skin diseases from being kept in disgusting conditions, and it takes a lot to get them back to at least some sense of welfare.
Another injustice facing wild animals is the growing trend of exotic pet ownership. Wildlife Research Conservation estimates that as many as 20 million people keep wild animals as family pets. While owning an exotic animal may seem exciting at first, most owners quickly realize that they have gotten much more than they bargained for.
Get out.
Exotic animals do not make good pets. 99.9% of the time, private ownership doesn't work. They get the animal when it's cute and cuddly, and by the time it's about 8 months old, 80, 90 pounds, it's eating them out of house and hold. They don't have enough money to build a habitat, and they're calling for someone to help them. And it's hard because the sanctuaries are full. It's not so easy to find them homes, or they end up in the back of a backyard in a teeny little cage for years. So here we've got more tigers as backyard pets in the United States than we have in the wild. And it's just not fair to the animal. It's just not fair.
Apart from the folly of subjecting wild animals to urban conditions, careless exotic pet ownership can also have deadly consequences. According to Born Free USA, there have been over 2,000 reported attacks, incidents, and escapes by exotic animals since 1990, but none so tragic as in 2011 in Zanesville, Ohio.
More than 50 lions, Bengal tigers, and bears roamed the streets, residents locking their homes, children kept behind closed doors.
There's a lion on Mount Perry Road in Grayshot.
I'm pretty sure, and I just saw a wolf.
I think I just seen one. Looks like a jaguar or a wolf or something.
Most of the animals that escaped had to be put down.
I had deputies that had to shoot animals with their sidearms at close range.
When it was over, 49 animals have been killed, including 18 Bengal tigers.
I won't forget what happened here today as long as I ever live.
You know, we didn't have any kind of law in place that would prohibit for somebody from doing that.
Bobby has worked tirelessly alongside notable wildlife advocates like actress Tippi Hedren to create stricter legislation for exotic pet ownership and harsher punishments for crimes of wildlife trafficking.
When I first started Lions, Tigers, and Bears, 28 states perfectly legal to own any exotic animal. There's no licensing needing. Like you need a license for a pit bull, you don't need a license to own a tiger. There's not enough inspections to keep people on the up and up. There's no federal tracking. And so we've been trying to work on a federal law that would prohibit private ownership and then also slow down the unnecessary breeding. There's still several states in the United States where you can own any animal as a pet. It's perfectly legal.
Despite significant progress in exotic animal legislation, there are still those who continue to violate the law, regardless of the consequences.
They can't go back unless they've got video cameras out here to prove that we didn't feed them that day.
Our insurance company says no pet. However, if you decide you want to pet them, keep in mind, we're not liable.
We passed a ban law on here on the island, but they left one loophole, which I use. I'm a licensed exhibitor.
Hurt him, don't touch him. Make him scream.
I don't care if these cats are following the law. You need to tell the way that
How many animals you got here?
All together, big cats, we have a little over 200.
200?
Over 1,400 animals.
Oh my God.
We just work on it state by state, testify, talk when it's needed, write letters, work with all the other big and small organizations to get the job done.
The industry is quite alive and quite large, and so it takes a large effort to try to combat it.
Fortunately for the animals, Bobby has dedicated her life to that fight. Like most, she was not always aware of just how extensive and brutal the exotic pet trade was until a rude awakening in 1990.
I was opening a restaurant in Richmond, Texas. I was actually searching the classified ads for restaurant equipment, and I would see lions, tigers, leopards for sale, and I answered the ad. I went to a woman's house who lived in a mobile home on 5 acres, 30 big cats, all breeding, and babies crawling all over the mobile home floor, and you could buy one and take one home today.
In her quest to learn more about the extent of the exotic animal trade, Bobby answered another newspaper advertisement, this one to work with bears. And what she learned was even more disturbing.
I got like a 1-day training course, and the next thing I know, he's disappearing all the time and leaving his bears. So I followed him one day, and turns out he was taking the bears to like outdoor men's conventions and setting up a pen to wrestle bears. I answered a few more ads out of curiosity and looked, and just in no time discovered the exotic animal trade and how bad it really is and how badly the animals are treated. And from that moment on, I wanted to make a difference.
Determined to continue helping exotic animals, Bobby and her husband Mark returned to California, where an opportunity presented itself. Little did she know it would change the course of her life forever.
Mark and I decided to help some leopards from the very first woman who I had met in the mobile home. And the deal was we would pay to build the habitat, she would spay and neuter, and they would get to live out their life there, and we would help with the care. Well, it wasn't like a couple months later and the leopards were bred. So that is when I told Mark, we are not donating anymore. We are going to do this. We're going to do it ourselves, and we're going to do it right. And that's what we've done.
In 2002, Bobby and Mark purchased a 93-acre ranch nestled between the Cuyamaca Mountains and the Cleveland National Forest. Located just 30 miles east of downtown San Diego in Alpine, California, Bobby had finally found the ideal paradise to make her dream a reality.
We couldn't have a better piece of property. There's just an abundance of water here. The weather's perfect. We get the 4 seasons, enough for them to get a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain. We don't even have to have heaters. We have some heated concrete, but most of the times they won't even lay on it. So it's the perfect place.
The first 2 animals to arrive at Lions, Tigers, and Bears were 2 tigers named Raj and Natasha. Bobby discovered these tigers in Alvin, Texas, living in deplorable conditions.
And they lived in a 6x12 cage. One had to stand up for the other one to turn around and be comfortable. No shade, no shelter, on concrete, and they had to fight for food. The guy had threatened to shoot him because he was in trouble, and so the U.S. Fish and Wildlife gave us 30 days. So we had 30 days to come back, find a place to put him, build a cage, and get him out here. And we did it.
After a few months, Raj and Natasha finally settled into their new home. For the first time in their lives, they felt soft grass beneath their paws, looked up to a clear blue sky, and received all of the food, care, and attention they deserved.
We just try to give them everything that they would have in the wild and even more.
They have gone from rags to riches, as they've said, and it is so true.
I love it when we get a new rescue of a bear and it learns to forage for its food. I love it when we get a rescue of a new lion and you can see her run around her 2-acre enclosure. That's what's beautiful.
It really makes you feel good to see that your money's going toward a worthwhile project.
Bobby's determination to provide her animals with the utmost care has been rewarded with the special distinction reserved only for the highest quality wildlife sanctuaries in the nation.
We're accredited both by Global Federal Association of Sanctuaries and American Sanctuary Association, which is the highest accreditation that a nonprofit big cat rescue can get. That means they get proper nutrition, proper care. We have tons of safety training. There's always a piece of fence between us and the animal. Everything is, gone over to make sure it's safe for the animals.
Bobby has gone above and beyond to provide the animals with everything that they need to live a happy, healthy life in peace. But running one of the most prestigious and highly respected wildlife sanctuaries in the country comes with a hefty price tag.
It's so expensive to build the proper habitats, and we've just come up with ways where, we sell like a foot of fence at a time, and then we'll end up with something like the Linking Love habitat.
Each and every contribution, big or small, goes directly to the care of the animals in their forever home.
All the money that is brought here goes for the care of these animals. You don't have to be told, you can see it in the animals.
Every little bit helps. Simply by people coming, that is directly helping the animals.
Every life here counts, so every visit counts. Don't think what you do is too small, because it all adds up to make this possible.
Of course, at the heart of Lions, Tigers, and Bears is Bobby herself. She built Lions, Tigers, and Bears from the ground up, manages its operations, is constantly fundraising, has personally driven over 300,000 miles around the country on rescue missions, and has testified before Congress to advocate for increased legislation.
I just know there's so much more work to do. I can never stop. I'm not going to be happy until I know this problem is solved. And when I have it where I can turn this over to the next generation, and it'll keep going for animals. This is 24/7. You have to live it, eat it, breathe it. You have to be resilient. You just have to go around the obstacle and keep going and find another way.
Since its inception, Lions, Tigers, and Bears has rescued over 400 animals from all across the country, many of which now call the ranch home.
To be one of the top sanctuaries in the country, it just tells you that our animals are getting the best care that we can provide for them. And that makes me feel good because we're their voice.
Animals can't speak for themselves, and they're so often the victim of a situation that they can't control. So for us to be able to make a difference means the world.
The animals need someone to be an advocate for them. Animals can't say where it hurts or how they're feeling, and so all the training and experience that I've gained has helped me basically paint a picture of how we can best serve animals. That to me is very fulfilling.
The most deafening sound in nature is the sound of silence. Now is the time to speak up for animals. or else the mighty roar of a lion, the thundering growl of a tiger, and the ferocious howl of a grizzly bear may soon become a mere echo of the past. Speak up for animals. Be their voice, because every life counts.
It's like people helping animals, animals helping people. It's pretty awesome.